Really?
Bây giờ có thứ này là you can't believe that. Any water.
No, that's 31 of them. You can put some in. Come on, Lincoln. It's got, come here, Lincoln.
Um, it's
Coach Ivy Gray.
What's going on, my friend?
Good to see you. Thanks for joining me in the car at soccer practice,
I'm telling you.
doing the mom thing, all that.
Yes.
You know who else I talked to last week?
Oh,
Sylvester Wallace. You know him?
did you? Yes. Did you really?
I did. He had liked one of my posts on LinkedIn
Uh-huh.
about a disc assessment. I said, "What you know about disc?"
Yeah.
So y'all use them at FDTC.
Well, and it must be something he's bringing in because I haven't used one there, my friend.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Sylvester just got there, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be something that he's bringing into play. He's a
Gotcha.
very sharp guy, very sharp guy. So,
Yeah, seems like it. That's
mhm,
good. How you been?
mhm. Pretty good. Yeah,
Good.
yeah, been pretty good.
I got a
Trying to pace
moment.
myself.
I'm expecting at least one more. I'd like to have more people
Okay.
speak in, but I know that just is how it is. So I'm expecting
Yeah.
one more. But tell me about your updated service before we get started here, just in
Yeah,
case
yeah,
you
yeah,
want
friend.
to touch
So
on that.
so what I'm doing is developing an actual leadership program. And initially I was really trying to move into more of a group space with this, but I can also tailor it to where I take an individual through the program as well. Um, and so just focusing on just that leadership piece, and I'm going to have various topics in it within it. It's going to be 5 phases. One of the phases so far, I'm going to focus solely on emotional intelligence.
Okay.
For example, that first phase is where I want to do the assessment, and that be a big part of our conversations, like those first couple of conversations, just reviewing that, um, and just kind of tying that into some of their some practical real life experiences that they've had, so they could better understand like why they respond the way they do to certain people, or you know what I mean, or
Mhm.
things like that. So yeah, so I'm still ironing out the wrinkles as far as just all of my different phases, but I'm excited to finally see it come to life. I've been thinking about it for a while. And just
Yeah.
this assessment piece and having these conversations with you for me made it that much more solid. If you
Hmm.
would, yeah, you know what I mean? It's more of a solid program. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I like it, and I've had some conversations. Obviously, we've had conversations over the past months that kind of led up to getting
mm-hmm.
to where we are now. So I've probably
Mm-hmm.
had 10 or 15 conversations, just one-on-one conversations about all these things, and that's what's helping
Okay.
me kind of put everything together. So
Okay.
I had
Mm-hmm.
somebody, a couple days ago, similar to what you're saying. He's already working with the school district, and he's a
Oh, okay.
leader. So he
Okay.
those 4 leaders on. He purchased their assessment for them, and another
Yes.
guy's doing he's working with Latino male educators on the West Coast. So he's
That's
got about
dope.
15 folks in his cohort that he's looking to put through and use
Yeah.
assessments there too. So
Okay, okay. So all right, I'm in
mhm,
the right place for sure.
you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting you mentioned the target audience because that's where what I need to narrow down for myself is the target audience at this point. I'm definitely all education. That's my background. I still work in higher ed. But I don't feel limited to that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I don't want to be limited to that. I would love to my my what I really love is working with small teams, believe it or not. I know a lot of people like that corporate level money, but it's just I'm really passionate about small teams, small organizations. I've even worked with boards, like, board members as a team. I've done some development there too. And so
Mhm.
that's really where I would like to focus. But I don't know how to market that, if that makes any sense. Verbiage wise, I don't know how to market that. Um
We'll get you some help with that as well.
yeah,
We got
yeah.
it out. My business coach has some webinars or workshops that he's put together.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so he's got some automation tools that are helpful to, if you plug in the right information, it'll spit back out the response you need. And so I'll show you,
Okay. Okay.
I'll forward you the email or I'll show you what. what that would
Cool.
do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
Cool.
That
Well, we
works.
have again. I may have one more join today.
Okay.
I see there's one more on the invite. If not, this is gonna be all about Coach Ivy. So we're gonna keep on doing what we got to do.
Okay.
I
Okay.
pulled up yours. Now this is gonna be used as a training later on. So if new folks sign up instead of kind of scheduling these, they'll just be able to log in and watch the video. Are you okay if
Okay.
we use your assessment as our demo today?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm fine with that. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's
You can
cool.
ask kind of real
Yeah.
time feedback as well if you need to.
Yeah. Okay. And let me get my I've got my assessment here too.
Okay. Perfect. All right, well,
Mm-hmm.
let's get started. I know you've logged into your account already, correct? You've been able to get
Yeah,
into the account before?
absolutely.
Okay,
Uh-huh. Yep, yep, yep.
good. So that was my main thing, wanting to start off and understanding that. But with this
Okay, okay,
strengths-based
okay.
assessments tool and platform, you don't have to do it right now. I know you've been in, but wanted
Yes.
to be sure of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So with
Yes.
the first session that we have, strengths-based assessments, the idea is really giving you a formal debrief, partly
Okay.
to model what it's going to look like for you to debrief in a
Right.
one format, right?
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
also kind of go through that own training yourself of getting your own feedback. And then we'll
Okay.
go through the resource center so you can go through the part of self-educating yourself in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
some people will ask too, there is certification available. If you're like, Trey, I don't want to teach without being a certified practitioner, uh,
Okay.
don't do it. We can get you certified. It's
Okay.
I don't know the cost right now. It's probably 1,500 to 2,000. That's not
Mm-hmm.
that I'm going to take a profit on, just
Okay.
transparency. But the provider can basically get you up to speed there and get you
Okay.
certified. But all the credentials and the training materials, you don't have to be certified to use it. That's why we're going through this process here.
Okay. You don't have to be. Okay. Okay.
It's helpful to have, but again, I'm of the before you spend $1,500 to $2,000, let's make sure
Mm-hmm.
it fits in your business. Let's make sure your people like it. Let's let the assessments pay for the certification before you pay
Okay.
for the certification yourself, right?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, charge enough with your first deal to be able to pay for the certification and
Okay. Okay.
how you go about it. So that's my lens there. You know me relatively well, I'll say. I've been doing this
Mm-hmm.
work since 2017 is when I started the business.
Oh.
Residence
Okay.
life coordinator, also
Mm-hmm.
the dean of students in Bishopville.
Yeah.
But since then, I've been able to work with a lot of MTSS and SEL programs.
Okay.
I delivered about 200 or more SEL implementations with schools and districts, and then also
Mm-hmm.
about 100 school districts. I've helped them implement different programs and practices. And so these are not all strengths-based assessment type of tools, but they are
Okay.
organizational implementation experiences
Mm-hmm.
across, many different states.
Gotcha. Okay.
And with that as well, at this point, over 1,000 people have complete an assessment with me so far, whether I
Wow.
distributed it or somebody in a sub account has now distributed the assessment.
Mm-hmm.
There's been 1,000 people that have used those. So really
Okay.
excited about that. Any questions so far?
Mm-mm. No, sir.
Okay. So we know you can log in. Let's switch over to your assessment debrief and we'll walk through it together here as well for
Okay.
you. Let me pause for the video. This is the section where folks watching the video will select their account and just make sure they log in with their company header and footer. Have you been able to do that part yet?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's some videos there too. So what I'm going to
Okay.
do next then is we're going to go through the debrief. And so
Okay.
there is about 8 pages in your report that are more general. And then these pages that we're debriefing here are specific to you. And so I
Oh,
like
okay.
to point that out because I mostly debrief with teams. So I'll do an opening
Mhm.
30-minute introduction type of section, and then I'll spend about an hour debriefing these. But the way I'll debrief it with the group, we just look at a couple pages at a time. And then we
Okay.
discuss it, and then we go to the next cycle, and then we discuss it and go to the next cycle. So we're going to practice that here now. Thoughts?
Okay. Okay.
I see your face.
No.
You sure?
Nope, nope. Just following.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
I've got you pulled up here. I'm gonna
Okay.
scroll down to page. Actually, let me walk through this a little bit.
Okay.
So on page 2, you're seeing part 1 is understanding this. Part 2 is understanding yourself. Part 3 is understanding others and adaptability. And so you can think about this even as your cadence, as you're going through trainings. And with this
Mm-hmm.
one report, we can split this up into different sections. I've
Mm-hmm.
recently been having a few more one-on-ones. And so you can debrief this one report in about an hour. I think 90 minutes will give you a more of a safe boundary to be able to discuss and get through everything. But 60 to 90 minutes is a good time frame to be able to review the report. And then after that, being able to use the understanding others and adaptability is where you could be able to do some follow-up workshops and things as well.
Okay. Okay.
So not just one time, but ongoing. So the way that we use this report is a simple to use, easy to remember, practical model. And so that D for dominance is for dominance in solving problems. The I is focused on people and influence. Steady means steadiness of pace, and conscientiousness means a focus on procedures, rules, and results. And so the way we go through the report is again in that part 1, understanding how the styles work together. Part 2, understanding yourself. And then part 3, if there's time, you'll get into the adaptability components.
Okay.
The basis of DISC is 4 communication styles. And so in those DISC styles, there's descriptors. And it's important to be clear here too that these are not intelligence tests. This is not the Myers-Briggs. We're really looking at observable behaviors. So when we say
Ah.
behavior descriptors, these are characteristics that people can see
Mhm.
from you without actually having to speak to you per se.
Okay.
Or if they're around you, they'll see these things. Again, that D style, decisive, competitive, direct, innovative. C style, accurate, precise, analytical, compliant. And so you may think about a D style as often going to be your leader in the organization. Your C style may be your accountant, your receptionist.
Mhm.
Your I style are those folks that are rah-rah and giving the team motivated, making sure they're rallying.
Mhm.
And your S style are the folks that are kind of staying low key and making sure that everybody's on the same page. They're only really going to speak up when they have to.
Mhm.
So those descriptors and being able to understand those 4 different styles gives us a strong insight into how we should be communicating with others. And so based on those 4 styles, there's some tendencies, and that's why they're observable behaviors. The D style, again, tend to be more direct and guarded, meaning I'm going to be really straight with you, but I'm not really going to let you into my train of thought or my thought process. Versus the I style, that's direct as well. They're going to be straight up, but they're going to be an open book. There's no secrets with an I style. They're going to tell you everything. On the other end, you have the S, which is slow paced and people oriented, versus like the dominant style that's fast paced and task oriented. And so this is where tension comes from in relationships. You move too slow, I move too fast. If you would just speed up, we would eliminate the tension. Trey, if you would just slow down, there wouldn't be any issues. And this
Mhm.
is the crux. Whatever you're talking about, your child, your spouse, your significant other, your peers, your supervisor, whoever, if you can pinpoint pace and priority, hey, you know what? I got 30 minutes. You trying to catch up? I ain't got time. You too focused on the people. Let's get this thing done. That's where tension lies. You can almost find the root to all issues coming from that place. And it's really the opposites that we see as well. So I mentioned that D is fast paced and task oriented. The S is slow paced and people oriented. So if I'm working with a team and I'm a D style, fast paced and task oriented, and I have another team member that's slow paced and people oriented, that's where we're going to butt heads. Can you think about an example or what kind of issues we may have in that
Mm,
scenario? Somebody that's too fast and really task oriented versus somebody that's too slow and people
so,
oriented.
yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is when you have a deadline, when you're working on a project that involves everyone on the team. Um, that's a conceptual example that I'm thinking about. It's not
Mhm.
specific, but I've even seen that where some people are just not pressed,
Yeah.
at all, but at the end of the day, you've got to meet that deadline.
Hmm.
And it can be very frustrating between the two. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Good. I like it. Yep. You're on the same page there. So we're going to get into how this looks specifically, for you. This is certainly valuable information to understand, and it gives you a deeper look at those styles. So on page 6, we're looking at there's 16 characteristics. And so all these characteristics, I like the ones that make your stomach hurt. Blind spots. The D, they're afraid of being held accountable. So,
Mm.
so their actions, the reason that folks are operating with such assertion, with the need for control, is to either they don't want other people to hold them accountable, so they're going to try to control the situation to maintain accountability ourselves. Where their blind spot is following through on commitments. So they are just the I style will overcommit. But yeah, I'll do that. I'll get that to you by tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Next week you ain't got nothing. Ain't followed up, ain't said nothing, then had coffee the next day and dinner and the weekend passed and how you doing? Ain't said nothing about the commitment.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't see it. They genuinely you over here blood boiling because you late. And that person,
Yes.
they really not even thinking about it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another one, under stress. So the S style may become submissive or indecisive. The C may become withdrawn or headstrong. And so again, gives you some ideas on how do people respond in these different situations.
Mm-hmm.
The I
Mm-hmm.
style under stress is sarcastic and superficial. And these just help us understand how to communicate with people. So on page 7, we're seeing, for example, those D and I styles. You're a C style. So you're a CD. Okay. At the top of every page, you'll see your report style, CDS and C.
Oh, okay. That's what that means. Thank you.
Yep, yep, yep. So things about communicating with the D style. You have a D, a big D in your style, meaning that you have dominance as a primary. So you like having personal choices. So when you're working with folks, it's important for them to let you do their thing within limits. If
Mm-hmm.
I got a project for you, don't tell me every step of the project. Let me
Mm-hmm.
make my project. If it's my project, let it be my project. But it's
Mm-hmm.
not it's your project that you let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
The D style mostly will need to be in charge. So let them take the lead when appropriate, but give them parameters.
Mm-hmm.
These would be some things maybe your supervisor would think about or that you would want your team to think about while you're working together.
Yeah.
On the C style, going to page 8, concerned with aggressive approaches. So people, when they're
Mm-hmm.
talking to you, you should approach Ivy in a indirect and non-threatening way. If you
Right.
want a productive conversation, don't try to put me on Front Street. It's not gonna work.
Mm-mm.
Ivy
Mm.
needs to know or the C styles need to know the process, so provide explanations and rationale. You see where I'm coming here, where we're really just looking at the characteristics. So if you know these characteristics,
Mm-hmm.
you can start to make adjustments and adaptations to how folks respond and how they show.
Yeah.
Now on this page, we're getting into your self debrief. So now we're on part 2. This is page 9 and 10. I want you to read through page 9 And I know you have your copy printed out. So as you read through it, you may have done this already. I want you to put a plus by the paragraphs you agree with and a minus by any paragraphs you disagree with. And then we'll talk about the ones that stand out.
Okay. And I'm starting on page 9, right?
Page 9. And I'll give you a couple minutes to read through and we'll talk about it when you're done.
Okay. Mhm.
Good one.
So far, I agree with all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Is there any paragraph that stands out as like, oh yeah, this is I've always thought about this, but didn't necessarily know how to say it. Or
Um,
yeah.
yes, which one was it? The one with being interrupted. Um, your pattern of responses indicate that you do not like interruptions while working on detailed projects. I can relate to that sentence, right? But like it was a mirror. Like, yeah. I like I didn't realize that I was that way, but this sentence is true about me. I'm if that makes sense. If that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Is
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was there a scenario or a situation that came to mind that made you when you read it, it was like, oh yeah, I could see.
Uh-huh. Two automatically rolls to the top, right? I had two scenarios. One, when I'm working at home in my home office, my son is the constant interrupter. Okay. And so, and I could sit here think about Trey, how I'll go, and it's like I'm trying to hear him, but I'm trying to remain focused, but attend to him at the same time. But I really just wanted to leave me alone. And then at work, when my supervisor comes in, and I'm in the middle of something, I'll kind of respond the same way, maybe not as rudely because he's my supervisor, but it's kind of like that same response. Like I'm really not even fully processing what's being said because I'm
Mhm.
very raised. I'm laser tag focused.
Yeah.
And it's really just listening just so you can finish and move on. I know that sounds horrible.
To be honest, let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah,
Keep it a
yeah.
buck. You have to remind me
Mhm.
later what you said.
Right.
No, I'm not mad at that. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Um, and that was both scenarios, or that was one scenario.
Yeah, that was both. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How it happens at home and then it also
Yes.
happens at the
Okay.
workplace.
You're right.
Hmm.
And anything that stood out of like, I don't know about this one. This might be true, but I can't really tell.
Okay, yes. The first paragraph where it says rules were meant to be followed, not bent or broken. I am a gray kind of person. There's always areas of gray, where rules may not be broken, but they could be amended. right? Or they maybe we need to look at them again. But I just try not to be strictly black and white, because
Mhm.
there may be scenarios or times where you just might have to adjust. So
Okay.
that would probably, I think that was the only piece that really stuck out to me the
Yeah.
most, to say, yeah, I'm really big on protocol procedures for sure. I
But
am a
then there's
rule
a break the
follower,
rule.
but there are times where it's just not gonna always be the case.
You know, you got to break the rule every now and then.
Every now and again, for the greater good. Like, is it, when I always say, is it worth it? Is it worth the consequence, or whatever the case may be? You
Mhm.
know.
Understood. No, that's good. Any other comments on this section?
I
Questions?
no, I'm just impressed with and I haven't read this in a while, but I'm just impressed with how spot on it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So in other scenarios, you may be in a one-on-one coaching call here. I'm breaking the fourth wall a little bit. There may
Okay.
be areas where somebody has a thought, and like you see, we're kind of going in and, hey, share with me that experience that you had of what
Okay.
validates this. And
Okay.
on the opposite end, if you disagree with it, tell me that example. Give me an example of a situation where you responded differently.
Okay.
Give me an example of what would your spouse say? What would your peer at work say
Uh-huh.
to them, and let them share the scenario with them, share the statement with them, and see how they respond to see if that's true as well.
Okay.
And I find sometimes like somebody will say, no, that's not me because X, Y, and Z. Like you just gave a good explanation. Like, yeah, I do want to follow the rules, but I'm willing to break them. Okay, good. Right.
Yes.
Great sense of awareness there. So forward. And then the people that have a hard time seeing it, though, like, yeah, I just don't agree. I can't think of a scenario, but I can't agree.
Great.
Okay, let's either talk through that scenario or reach out to somebody who could have a better response and kind of validate that for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna zoom back into your debrief now. That's just my
Okay.
little coaching point there. This next page, so your behavior style. This is
Okay.
similar information to page 8 or page 9, but it's looking at the information in a different format. Before it was
Okay.
a narrative, now we're looking more at a bullet pointed form. And so it says your behavior style is a fact finder. You bring a keen sense of awareness and quality control and detail orientation to the projects that you engage with. Like a detective, you work at the intersectionality of facts, logic, and intuition. They do their homework and come prepared with background knowledge and information. They
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it when others do the same. They may be quiet and build respect for others when they recognize equal high quality control interests, data, facts, and logic drive their decision making.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Yeah.
Take
Oh
a moment
yeah.
to look at these bullet points as well and read through them and see if there's anything that stands out for you here or anything that you disagree with.
Okay. Yes. So it says getting along with others, appreciates when others come prepared and do their homework. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually going to be prepared. I'm usually going to do my homework. And I value it that much more when others do the same. Like I'll even acknowledge it and get excited.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
you
you did
know?
your homework.
I
That's
mean, I'll carry on too, Trey. Oh, okay, so you're ready. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You ready. You wasn't playing around.
Right. So now I know why I get so excited, because
Right.
it really matters to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Anything else stand out for you here?
Yes. I also notice it says, keep in mind, may spend too much time on analysis and create unintentional bottlenecks. And I'll even say stress, which I saw stress
Mm-hmm.
right above that too. When stress can overly alarm, anxiousness. Yeah. But I'll say right here where it says may spend too much time on analysis and create unintentional bottlenecks. I'll even add to that trait to say unnecessary stress.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Just spending too much time over analyzing things for
Hmm.
sure. Mm-hmm.
This is good. So again, depending on what your oops, I was supposed to say something else. Student man, I'm just gonna put focus. So depending on what your objectives are with your coachee or the person you're working
Okay.
with, like you mentioned one-on-one, these
Mm-hmm.
comments right here on what stands out can be
Yeah.
twofold. So the high end things might be, hey, these are some strengths you need to leverage in your workplace. If you're hiring or looking for career development opportunities, this
Mm.
would be a great point to highlight in the interview. Hey, I'm somebody. Well, tell me what one of your strengths is, Ivy. I'm somebody that always does my homework, and I appreciate people that do the same. You're sharing a strength and an expectation almost at the same time. And
Okay.
on the other end, keep in mind you may spend too much time on analysis and create unintentional bottlenecks.
Mm-hmm.
Now that
Mm-hmm.
becomes our coaching point.
Yes.
So I've got something to fill you up. But in our follow-up conversation, hey,
Yeah.
Ivy, has there been any instances that you've taken too long to analyze a situation?
Good.
Have you been the bottleneck on any decisions that need to be had? Is there any priority decisions that you're holding off on making? Why? And then you can use your own coaching hat, take off the disc hat, and put on your career development hat,
Right, right.
coaching that way.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Mm-hmm.
tool is giving you the avenue to pivot where you need to go.
Okay.
And instead of having to force somebody to dig and acknowledge a blind spot or area of growth, it's already in the bullet point.
It's right here. I
And
know. I
it's
know.
objective.
Yes.
It's not me telling you what I think.
Yes.
It's
This is
what you
dope.
think,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Good. Questions there before I move forward?
Oh, no, sir. That's good. That's good stuff.
Okay. So these next couple pages here are what we call a word sketch. And so I
Okay.
think these parts are probably important to read at least up front because it tells you that DISC is an observable, needs motivated instrument. And the responses are not good or bad, rather, they reveal the needs that motivate the behavior. Therefore, once we can accurately observe one's actions, it's easier to read and anticipate their likely motivations. So at
Mm.
first, when we at work, I had a great conversation yesterday. The man was addressing a conflict, and in it, he got a little hyped up because he was excited. Like, oh, you know what? This really boils my blood. But in the way he talked, his tone gets a little
Mm-hmm.
stronger. His shoulders
Mm-hmm.
push back
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more, and other people may think he's attacking them, or they may go ahead and back down because they don't want to be in a conflict, or they don't want to be yelled at. That man ain't yelling. He's trying to get clarity. It's just intense. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But
Mm-hmm.
once you understand, oh, he's so aggressive, so he can solve the problem. I
Mm.
got it. Okay.
Mm.
Got it. Oh, if he gets mad like that, that means he's confused and he needs clarity.
Yes.
He's not attacking me. He's a little bit lost, and we need to get him back on track. Got it.
It's good. That's good.
Got it.
Mm.
So the what we have here, the adaptive chart shows your disc graph in a word sketch. And so use it with examples to describe why you do what you do, what's important when it comes to each of those styles. And so here it's good to note that you're a mix of all of them. And so what you see between the D, I, S, and C is how much effort and attention you put into each style on a adapted basis. We can think about adapters when you
Uh,
show up to work. The gray line between 3 and 4 is your energy line. Below that, where you have your I, controlled, discerning, rational, reflective, these would be describing words that people would use about you in the workplace.
mm.
And then the ones that are above that line, so 4 and 5, these are more observable behaviors. So below the line, people aren't really going to know that you're controlled and discerning until they get to know Ivy. Once they know
Oh,
Ivy, they'll be able to describe those things about you. But even if I don't know you, if it's my first day on the job and I'm starting to work with you, I'm going to recognize pretty quick that Ivy is very composed. She's very stable. She's steady. I'm also going to see that she's adventurous. She's direct. She's forceful. And I also see that she's conscientious. She's courteous, and she has high standards. This is how you show up at work.
mm,
When people say, "Tell me about Ivy," this is what they say,
hmm.
or should.
What you call the gray line again?
That's the energy line.
Energy line? Okay.
Yep. So below that line is unobservable energy. Above it is observable energy.
Lord.
And you see on the top of this page too, it's got this, it says disc focus, and it gives you those problems for each of the styles again. And it tells
Okay.
you what they need. Again, need, challenges to solve and authority, emotions, anger and impatience, fears being taken advantage of, lacking control. So all their motivations to act in the way they act is to avoid some of these outcomes or gain these outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we go to the natural style, this shows your natural graphs, and we can do the same thing. Think about how we show up in more natural situations. So I like to give the analogy of when you at home and you're about to leave the house versus on your way to work, what kind of shift is happening in the way you communicate?
Mm.
Some people stay the same. They don't have much of adjustment when they go to work. Other people have shifts when they go to work. And so I call the shifts that are aligned where your natural strengths are aligned with your adaptive strengths. I call that a strong positive. And the ones that are you're not using the same strengths, I call it a strong negative. Now it doesn't mean that it's actually positive or negative, but you can see in your style here, there is a shift. So you
Mm-hmm.
had your D and S were above the energy line prior. Now you only have your C, that's your primary style.
Mm.
And so this shows us that you have some shifts that are taking place from home to work or from your natural to your adaptive style. This could have many factors. This could be because I'm a mom, I'm taking care of my kids. This could be
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a mom and I'm a business owner and I'm taking care of my kid. This could be
Mm-hmm.
for a life change. This could be when my wife transitioned out of her job and I transitioned back into full-time consulting.
Mm-hmm.
My D went
Mm-hmm.
way up. I got real dominant because we got a family to feed.
Yeah. Yes,
And
sir.
I need to get paid
Uh-huh.
on time.
Mm-hmm.
There was a
Mm-hmm.
shift in my style.
Absolutely.
And those words changed too. So you went from being
Saw that.
conscientious, courteous to being more analytical and diplomatic. From
Mm-hmm.
being adventurous and risk taking to calculated and questioning.
Mm.
And again, this isn't good or bad. This is just the shifts that are taking place.
Exactly.
On page 13 is where we are going to determine if these shifts are stressful or are they within a standard deviation, to use our smart words there.
Oh.
So notice how I'm going to zoom in here. I don't know how big you'll be able to see, but on page
Okay.
13,
Mm-hmm.
you see this is the same information. So you got the energy line is 50%.
Okay.
And what we have for you here is 59 is your C style naturally, 70 is your adaptive style. That's good. That's a shift, but it's not a big shift.
Okay.
40 for your CS to 55, still good. So you're going, that's a 15-point shift. Yellow, 23 to 38, good. Red, 48 to 66, good. You have a strong positive correlation. So even though there's more energy going into your S, your I, and your D, those shifts are less than 20 percentage points, which means that it's a relatively common shift.
Okay.
If it would have been, say, 23 for your S to 58, so the closest one is actually your D, from 48 to 66. So if that would have been at 70, I would have had questions for you about how much energy you have to put into solving problems at work, and is that stressful?
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna pause for a minute, see if you got feedback from me here.
Okay. How much energy is required at work? I want to get that.
Mm.
Okay, so far I want to say this that um I'm truly, truly excited about how this can navigate, um, really initiate a lot of the conversations that
Yes.
I'm already having.
Yeah.
And it takes, I'm telling you, I've been coaching a long time. And you said something very phenomenal earlier. The probing process can be very draining
Mm-hmm.
and time consuming. It
Yeah.
can be fourth, fifth session in before we really get to where they're owning some stuff.
Mm.
Right, and like you said, I don't want to be in a position where I have to actually call a lot of things out as much as I want them to be able to acknowledge and see these things for themselves. So it puts me in a weird predicament. It also puts me in a position where I'm having to balance coach versus advisor,
Mm-hmm.
versus consultant too, because a coach
Yeah.
is really supposed to guide and help them, navigate their own thoughts and
Yeah.
opinions. That's really what you're supposed to
Exactly.
do when they're, and a lot of times, but we won't get anywhere if I don't state my observations.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this does it for me. So
Mm-hmm.
we could get to the meat and potatoes a lot quicker than what I've been doing. I'm telling you, I'm
And,
excited.
and there's part of your leverage
Mm.
for attracting people. Hey,
Mhm.
how long does it take you to solve problems at your workplace? 30 days,
Mhm.
60 days, six
Mhm.
months? What if I can get done in 30 minutes?
Wow.
Take this assessment, let's talk for an hour, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a layman's version of it, but when it
Yes.
comes to attracting and marketing, how
Mhm.
fast does it cost? How long does it take you to find out what's wrong with your employees?
Mhm. Ooh, yes. Good. That's good. Mhm.
How long does it take your employees to recognize the blind spots in your feedback? Right? I'm steady
Mhm.
feeding you feedback. I'm trying to help you uncover
Mhm.
blind spots. I'm trying to help grow you up, but you just can't see it. How
Yeah.
much time am I going to spend trying to help you see your blind spots before we can? I ain't got time. We gotta keep going. So read
Gotta
this
keep
right
going.
here. Okay, if
Yeah.
you can't see it, I'm gonna let you read it about yourself. And we
Uh-huh.
can talk about it. And that
Yeah.
I don't feel right, wrong, anything in between. I just need you to see it.
Mhm.
If I say it, you don't have to acknowledge it. You just gonna say, "Well, Trey said that. That ain't me." No, you say it.
Exactly.
We
Mhm.
see it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we're chopping down that time,
Yes.
and I love the word objective.
Mhm.
This is not my thoughts and my feelings.
That's
This
right.
is your data.
This
Now,
is
my
your
response is based on the data. Yeah, I'll take
thing.
credit for that. But this is your information.
This is good.
This is where I spend a lot of time being able to read this page, this chart, and these graphs right here. This is what
Yeah.
the money is. Because when you can start to pull up this page and you could just see, oh, okay, yeah, I see your shift. Why do you think that shift is happening? Ivy, I noticed this goes from 48 to 66. What about your job has you put more energy into solving problems?
Right.
Ivy, I noticed you moved from 40 to 55 here. That's a 15-point jump under the 20-point gap, but I can see that leading to stress if you're having to continue to accommodate. Usually, this is a sign of having to over accommodate or meet expectations at a higher level, like you're more conscious about not ruffling feathers in the workplace. Does that sound right, or how would you interpret that shift?
Yes. Hmm.
And now we got you now the can is opened up.
And we have a real conversation off the gate.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I said you went from 40 to 55. What's that mean? And
Hmm.
I tell people too, listen, I don't have the answers, I have the questions.
Yes.
You got the answers.
That's right. That's
And
coaching, friend. That's what coaching is.
the quality of your questions determines the quality of those outcomes. So if I can ask people
Absolutely.
the right questions, we'll get them the information they need.
That's right.
So
That's
this
right.
right here, I found to be bread and butter on this page. Being able to interpret and sit right here,
Okay. Okay.
this is your money making page. And for
Okay.
folks that page doesn't make sense, this is the same information. These last 4 pages I've showed you from the narrative we read to right here is all the same information in different formats.
Okay.
So depending on the way, kinesthetic, auditory, visual, whatever, folks may have a different preference for which one of these makes more sense for their brain. And so if it's not the bar graph, it could very well be the word sketch or even this part that they want to get stuck on and can
Okay.
understand better to interpret.
Okay.
The reason I highlight this part is because it gets to the natural versus adapted. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's what makes this report stand out amongst other assessments, whether it's Myers-Briggs, Clifton Strengths. It's only looking at your natural or your innate talents and characteristics versus DISC is looking at your natural and adapted. So this is personal and professional. Because if you jacked up at home, you're gonna be jacked up at work. If you jacked up at work, you might be jacked up at home. So
Right. Right.
I'm not looking for work-life balance. I call it work-life intention. I want you to be
Mm.
intentional about your decisions at home so you can show up your best at work. I want you to be intentional about your boundaries at work so you can be present at home.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Other assessments don't have that.
Okay.
This page 14, I'm gonna speed up a little bit. 14 takes us to our natural and adapted graph still. We've got our circle is natural, the star is adapted. And so the closer to the edge of this ring we are, the more consistent you show up in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, you are an analytical woman. You show up at soccer practice, at the recital, at the family reunion, you analyze it. At work, you're still analytical, but you're a bit more assertive and you're a bit more flexible. So notice how your circle goes from the outside ring, you come into rings and you shift over a little bit. That's your shift. When you're going on your drive from home to work, this is the
Okay.
that you're making.
Okay. Mm.
And the bigger that shift is, the bigger concern you have. Again, thinking about stress incidents. So if you have a larger gap or those gaps over 20, those mean there's a likelihood for stress because you're over shifting or you're having to over accommodate to meet the needs of your scenario.
Okay.
So it's okay to have that gap. Some people's are right on top of each other, but it's just something to be mindful of.
Mm-hmm.
Last comment here. I've seen some people have a big gap. They know they have a big gap, and they recognize that that gap is what's necessary for them to be successful at home and work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's okay. We'll take that. My
Mm-hmm.
key is awareness. Do you have awareness of that? Because there's other people that have that gap. They don't know they have that gap. They don't know why they're shifting that way, and they stress as hell
Yep. Mm-hmm.
because they got them blind spots. Some folks
Right.
aware of the shift, cool. Unaware of the shift, blind spot, stress.
Mm.
So, any questions here?
Mm-mm. No
I'm going to
question.
go through these next couple slides. We won't go
Okay.
through all the pages, but we
Okay.
will go through a couple of them. So this is
Okay.
where we get really granular. And if I said that page with the bar graphs is most valuable to me as the coach to be able to go through the details, this part is
Mhm.
probably most valuable for the participant.
Okay.
And so thinking about this section, we'll just do this first section, do's and don'ts. There's about 6 bullets. I want you to pick the top 2. What are the 2 most important things that somebody working with Ivory needs to do when communicating with you?
Mm-hmm. And you want me to do a couple of bullets from each or just the top one?
two bullet points
Just
from do,
from
two
each.
bullet points from don't. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Communicating be cash room. Mm-hmm. Mm. Okay. Okay. That was kind of hard to choose. But I did. I was able to narrow it down.
What you
All
got?
right. So with the do, what to do when communicating, was the very first two off the gate. Make sure you prepare your case in advance. Don't try to wing it or use charm alone. And
Go.
then the second one was keep on task with the business agenda. And my thing is, please have an agenda. Very anal about that. Very anal about that. And then in the don'ts would be use someone else's opinion as evidence. And then the last one is push too hard. So like I don't
Mm,
do the whole used cars salesman approach for sure.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Right.
Like those. So there's probably countless situations that you can think of where
Hmm.
somebody else having this information would save an argument or will save
Yeah.
some conflict, will save some tension, will preempt things. If I know that you're gonna have something to say, if I don't bring an agenda, well, I better get my agenda together.
Right.
I better get my agenda together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And same with the other pieces, pushing too hard. Um, so go on to the next page, page 16 as well.
Okay. Okay.
This page gets into wants and needs. And so there's a great narrative at the top that helps us understand
Hmm.
what we want and what we need aren't always the same. Our
Hmm.
wants bring satisfaction while our needs bring effectiveness. As individuals, it's useful to know what brings us both. As a leader, it's essential to understand how to balance both wants and needs of others to help them reach satisfaction and effectiveness with your guidance. And so
Hmm.
this section is the same as previous, but it's looking at what motivates you and what people need or what you need. And so we would go through the same process here of selecting two from each section.
Okay.
The following page, 17, is similar. It looks at what do you bring to the organization. And this is looking at your leadership strengths because this was a leadership assessment. And so there's three categories which we would do the same thing. Let's select two that we want are most important for us and go from there.
Okay.
This last page, 18, now it gets into under stress. How do I respond in conflict? Strategies to reduce conflict and increase harmony. And so this is one of the challenging pages, but a fun page too. Because when you look at there's words that people just don't like. So it says like under
Hmm.
stress, Ivy may be perceived by others as fussy and
Oh.
deflective.
Hmm. Hmm.
You
Hmm.
call who you calling fussy? I ain't fussing. But it's a good mirror for folks to have.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Under stress, you need guarantees that you're right, accuracy, understanding of principles and details. And so again, these aren't all wrong. Like there's not anything bad. There doesn't have to be bad
Not bad.
associated
Hmm.
with this,
Hmm.
but guarantees that you're right under stress. Like if I'm another good example the other day, a program manager received a directive from his boss on steps to execute, but his subordinates did not follow his directions. And when his subordinates didn't follow his directions, his supervisor didn't back him up. So he's
Right.
stressed because you told me to do something. I passed the directive down the line and they're not listening. But when I try to pass it back up, I don't have your support.
Mhm.
So I need some guarantees. I need some assurances here from somebody that I did what I was supposed to do and y'all ain't doing your part.
Mhm.
Because I did what you said and I told them what you told me to tell them, but you're not going to back me up now. You have to acknowledge that you made this mess right here.
Mhm.
You put me in this pickle to be stressed. I'm gonna need you to apologize. And I'm making it up kind of,
Mhm. Mhm.
but that's kind of a scenario where that's what a guarantee that you're right would be.
Yeah. Okay.
The conflicts under stress, you tend to be something of a loner and may make it more difficult for others to trust you, although your
Mhm.
demonstrated reliability tends to offset this. And so that's a conflict behavior, but then the next slide gives you a strategy to reduce conflict. So be sure to share the reasoning behind your decisions. Failure to do so may make them seem arbitrary.
Mm.
So since I'm such a loner, if I explain my decisions, that'll keep
Mhm.
people off my back. So again, another great coaching component here, if we're working on folks that struggle with blind spots or conflicts, this is a great place to get a strategy, issue, and a solution at the same time.
Gotcha. Okay.
So after that, honestly, I typically will skip. So there's 19 as well. I don't debrief, especially on the first session, page 20 to 24. I don't look at them
Okay.
because it's just I have some worksheets that I use now with it, but I save it for a second session or a third session and
Right.
like
Mhm.
that because it's just not necessary to go through those. So I'm actually working on customizing a report that takes out some of these extra pages.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
I think it's 40. I think I got a version down to 22 pages that still is pretty encompassing, but it's not as overwhelming.
No, that's good. Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
I think that'd be good. Yeah. Okay.
Page 25. So what I just had you do with doing the top two of each category,
Mhm.
that all gets summarized on page 25 in your communication summary.
Oh.
And again, this is when I'm working with teams, I believe the same is true for individuals, but when I'm working with teams, this is our primary deliverable. When you walk away from this workshop, everybody in your team will have a communication summary. We're going to update that summary online. And before you go into meetings, you need to review that person's summary. When you got a problem that needs to be addressed, you need to review
Mhm.
the person's summary. When somebody comes into your room, you can laminate and let somebody read it before you have your conversation. But this is going to be a document with your team's preferences that we're going to make public for the whole team to view. Just this one page worksheet.
Okay.
I had a workshop yesterday. I owe them a summary. I put it in like a one-page report for them so they're able
Uh-huh.
to, access it and utilize it as they need. But
Oh.
between the bar graphs, that conflict section in here, you've got your hour is done. You will get
Mhm.
if you get through, if your first hour coaching somebody, if you were able to finish this, it's a successful day.
Yeah.
Because we've been going about 45 minutes here and
Mhm.
about where we're at. So trying to kind of finish that in a 60-minute frame, that would be a great stopping point for your
Yeah. Okay.
session.
Okay.
The adaptability, I'm not going to spend too much time on this today just for time's sake primarily.
Right.
But the
Okay.
rest of the report, these are still coaching tools. So there's
Absolutely.
strategies embedded that help detail what is adaptability. This is an activity, but I have these in other ways.
Oh, okay.
These are
Okay.
the strategies on how to communicate. So again, I was saying you're a D style or a C style. So here's my strategies that I can use to approach Ivy more effectively.
Mhm.
Here's some strategies for you to use with me. And then there's a bar graph showing me where the pain points or tension may come from. So the rest of this report is all support metrics.
Mm-hmm.
It just, again, it gets to be overwhelming. This one is 55 pages. It's got some extra components because it's the leadership version. So it's giving you some components about how to adapt your leadership style there.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That's good
Questions
to know.
on this debrief process? Was that smooth?
That was smooth as butter.
Is that helpful to go through a process like that?
It is. It is.
Good.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Any questions or feedback before I move on? I'm going to show you the next piece. I'm going to show you how to access all these materials so you can digest it and learn how to feel comfortable with the content too. Any
Yes.
questions based on what we've covered so far?
Okay. Nope. Nope. I'm good.
Okay, I
Oh,
think I'm
this
back.
is good stuff. And I'm glad you mentioned that this was the leadership version too.
Am I back?
Yeah. Okay. I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I was frozen for a second.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yes. So let's continue rolling and we'll get everybody out of here on time. By everybody, I mean you and I.
Yeah.
These are pages that are included in your workbook. If we had more time here, I would spend more time kind of walking through the value of some of these pages. But these are some of the
Okay.
components and activities that I'll include in my versions of the workshop to kind of keep
Okay.
in mind and whatnot.
Okay.
But what I want to, so here's what's next. At the back of this report, I've broken down all the details for you. So my bronze level training for you is, hey, Ivy, this presentation right here, it's got all the details you need. Every link you need, every piece of information that we just discussed is all embedded in this presentation. So I'm going to upload this video to YouTube and make it available and then define the
Okay.
best way to host this presentation and stuff so it's easy to find for you.
Okay.
But what I've got here, so DISC leadership debrief. So understanding DISC, understanding yourself, understanding others. This is how the debrief breaks down. On the left side here, you see I've got two guides for you. So I've got the certified debrief guide and the non-certified debrief guide. You
Okay.
one that you feel comfortable with. The certified guide has more depth, so it probably would actually be more helpful to use.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes through page by page what we just did. So I have my own style to debrief now because I've been doing this for a long time. But
Right.
while I had my own style to debrief, I used this tool.
Okay.
And my computer is chopping up on me here. So I'm okay. Let's just get you a couple pages. So as I did today, when you are doing a one-on-one debrief or feedback session with a coachee, you will use this guide. So as we are reviewing your assessment results, you'll also be able to
Mhm.
put the debrief up on the side to be able to look at it. And so that
Okay.
strategy that I mentioned to you about put a plus by what you agree with and a minus by what you disagree with, that is
Yeah.
the best practices included in the debrief guide.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they ask you to make a T chart, so you get to pick. And so
Okay.
each page is give you if you just read it, like the first kinds, you might not feel comfortable or feel a little bit choppy. So you can go
Mhm.
through and read through, oh, this is explaining what every page does and how I should respond to it.
Okay.
And looking through this again, I definitely would recommend just use the certified, don't use the uncertified,
Okay. Okay.
because there's more details in there for you.
Okay.
Disc awareness debrief guide, and there's some debrief training videos too. So I'm going to upload this video but I have some. I put a workbook or a Google Doc that has a bunch of training videos included also. So these
Okay.
are practice debrief, understanding your report. You can share these with others too. And so
Okay.
I often will make a welcome letter and I'll share some of these videos with them so they can have an understanding of the reports before we talk our first time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One more here is, damn, why is this going so slow? I guess I've been on my computer too long. Try to unshare and reshare. Give me 15 minutes, computer. You can see my screen now.
Yeah, it's well, it's been now I can. There you go.
So I'm just gonna be selective with the links that I click here. But you've got your certified debrief, and then you've got your disc awareness. So that's a different type of assessment. You've got the
Hmm.
video trainings, and there is also a presentation. So I haven't figured out the best way to give you my presentation right now, which I
Okay.
think is probably more confusing than it because I don't follow the regular structure of it. And so if you're
Okay.
I need to update my facilitation guide so it makes sense for somebody else to use it. But there is
Okay.
a 2 hour and a 4 hour presentation already mapped out.
Hmm. Okay.
And so you don't have to make any adjustments, you don't have to make any edits. You download it and present it.
Oh, okay.
The presentation also has a facilitation guide. So just like the debrief has a guide, the presentation has a guide. So slide by slide, you'll have a directive on how to navigate the
Okay.
presentation. I pretty much the I designed my workshops that you see based on these. I've just updated it and refined it over time.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not keeping those from everybody. I just
Mm-hmm.
know the
Mm-hmm.
best way. I want to make sure I have the right materials so folks don't get it in my
Mm-hmm.
house with it. So there's the
Mm-hmm.
facilitation guide for the 2 hour, facilitation guide for the 4 hour, and then there's the disc awareness details too. I think I added the EQ ones later. The last couple slides are just your resources. So I'm going to follow up and email them. I think I already shared the presentation, but now you'll have it as well. Here's the homepage resources. So when you log into your account, there are a virtual account tour, and it's going to have about 6 videos included for you to watch.
Okay.
And then there's trainer materials as well, where you'll use a password to get in and look at all those materials. So
Okay.
you can follow that process and do it in the platform. I have extracted all of those links and they're in this presentation. That's probably why my computer going so slow.
Okay.
So when it says set up assessment links, this takes you straight to the video that's going to describe to you how to create your first assessment link, which is about 5 minutes or so, I think. 7 minutes
Welcome
for
to the
this
virtual
video.
tour of your Manage Assessment Links page. In this video, you will learn how to create assessment links for your users.
Okay. So I try to just make it easy as you can. So you don't have to log in, just open up the presentation and it's spelling everything out for you on how to use those reports. And we made it. Final questions, thoughts?
I'm excited. This is a breath of fresh air. This is a phenomenal tool to again, this guy clients through these tough conversations,
Mm,
and for probably the past, 10 minutes or so, I'm sitting here thinking, I remember working with the client about 3 or 4 years ago, and she's a principal and I had even worked at the district level in education. And mind you, she's older than me, more seasoned. And I remember thinking right before our first session, like, how am I gonna coach her? Like I mean, she's been in the education game for
mhm,
years and she's older than me, and I remember thinking that, and mind you, we got to, pulse, we got to her pulse, right? What makes her heart beat, what gives her even heart palpitations, but it took a while. And I remember and she was one of those individuals. That's kind of what I was going to ask you about too. um and we probably can answer this another time if needed, but when you're dealing with those clients that don't want to face these truths, you even talked about on one of the pages how some of those words are just hard for people to
mhm,
process or digest. And she was definitely one of those, types of professionals who, was always spoken highly of, was truly of excellence. And again, it took me some time. It took me about 4 or 5 sessions to get there, but I was able to find, her weakness as a leader,
mhm.
or an area of improvement, if you will. But this in session one, very early on, we would have got there much sooner.
Mhm.
And I would not necessarily have to really had to confront some of that pushback. That's the
Yeah.
best way to say it. It's that pushback. So just real short. You don't have to be extremely detailed, Trey. But have you seen that since you're very experienced with this? Have you seen, even though this is very objective, clients that have that pushback or just really struggle with seeing some of this information?
Yeah, I have and I do. And typically it's hard for me to say when the skill, I don't know how much of it is nature versus nurture. I don't know how
Oh,
much
okay.
of it at this point for me,
Hmm.
it,
I
I
got you.
can tell the breaking point. So part of it for me is I anticipate that people are going to struggle with this.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe
Okay.
this is, I'm gonna try
Okay.
to make this quick. But because I've
Mhm.
done it so much now, I recognize that nobody has done this before.
Okay.
The information I'm about to give you, you ain't never seen, and nobody ever talked to you like that. And if they did, you
Mm-hmm.
would have a problem. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of expect that going into the
That
conversation.
makes sense.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
actually more of a frame of mind or a lens. Like, where am I going to get pushback?
Yes.
And then it's kind of my experiences now, both in real world and from, working in so many schools and areas where when you make a comment, I have a reference for what that may look like. So if it says something like, the one that stands out to me, and this probably might be one of the first times, but one of her bullet points said, you may come across as manipulative in certain situations.
Oh, that's a good one.
And she was
Okay.
like, I do not agree with that. I am not a manipulator. I don't this, I don't that. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Mm.
I said,
Uh-huh.
okay, let's think about that. I was like, first of all, what's the difference between manipulation and persuasion?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. But the connotation or the context makes a difference. So when you hear manipulate, you hear wrongdoing,
Yeah.
you hear malicious, you hear all the things that go along with that. But when you hear
Mm-hmm.
persuasive, you think of it as positive. I said, "What's your role?" She said, "Oh, well, I'm a truancy officer." I said, "Okay, I got a perfect example for you. You use manipulation when you have a house meeting with the student who is supposed to go up for a truancy hearing, and you give them one more warning instead of submitting that paperwork to the truancy office. When you do that, you're manipulating your power to gain benefit for that child.
Mm.
That's manipulation. That's how you're manipulating the system to impact the kids that you work with.
Right, right.
And
Okay.
so breaking
Yeah.
you have to get really
Oh,
granular
yeah,
in
yeah.
every space to like people. I had a guy today, matter of fact, he was like, Trey, is this just the machine spitting this information out, or are you telling me this information?
This
I'm
is
like,
good. This is
I'm
good.
like,
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
hear what you're saying. It's the machine that's doing this, and you put the information in. I'm using the language from there to give you recommendations, but we can use whatever word. You don't like that word, let's find a synonym.
Mm,
If the word is the problem, let's find a synonym. But that's where his question was for me. So the
okay. Okay.
specificity in the work comes with the granularity.
Gotcha. Okay.
If
Yep. Yep.
somebody asks me that question or has that response, I can't
Mm-hmm.
give them a cookie cutter cliche response. Well, if this were the case, that happens. Notice how I keep giving you real scenarios
Mm-hmm.
that happen.
Yeah.
That's how you know, and people know that I've lived with this.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually done this, and then you can find because it's a firsthand perspective. So I'm closing my eyes. I'm taking myself back to the scenario and what was said. And likely you're doing this. You're coming on that journey with. You don't know where we're going, but you're like, shoot, where he taking me? Where he going?
Right.
And being able to use my
Mm-hmm.
own story is helpful for you. And then there's so much context now, especially if you work in the industry. I've worked in
Mm-hmm.
schools. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that don't want to say nothing until the tea already
Mm-hmm.
spilled, and then you want to spill your tea.
Right. Right.
Who has that person?
Mm-hmm.
Every school has that person. And so the more you do it, the more you'll be able to find which story matches
Okay. Okay. So
whatnot.
that's a strategy. I like it.
Mhm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I will
Okay.
give you one more piece. Put it back on them. What don't you agree with?
Mm.
What concern do you have with this? Is there an alternative word that would make you feel different?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you think about a time when this statement was true? Can you think
Mm.
about a time when this situation should have been true, but you responded differently?
Oh.
If we were to ask your spouse the same question, would they agree with you? If I asked your supervisor the question, would they agree with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they would. Let's circle this dot, and I want you to take it to your supervisor and ask them if you show up this way or if you agree with this feedback.
That's good.
That
Okay.
ball's in your court.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Okay.
And I'm gonna clip these. Hopefully the AI is listening. Clip these up. Make sure you
Yeah.
whatever I just said, AI, make sure y'all bullet point that for us so we got it.
Yeah.
Good. What other questions? I like.
Yeah, that was definitely my question. The only other question that I had coming into it was you've already addressed in terms of just shortening the report, because I
Mm-hmm.
was just thinking about, like, if I was working with a team, just having, it's simplistic, I know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's things I think about, right? Like just having to print these, or just them feeling overwhelmed
Yeah.
about, just the report in general. So you've already addressed that. That was the only other
Okay.
question.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten that a lot. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get a shorter report, but we'll do that for sure. What
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I so appreciate you taking this time with me. I'm every delay is a blessing, or the folks that weren't able to make it as well. I know that they'll
Mm-hmm.
be blessed by this too, because it's one-on-one. I know this is the scenario that a lot of folks will be working in
Mm-hmm.
as
That's
well.
true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The last two slides I have here, again, I just want this is your reference sheet.
Okay.
Everything until I upgrade, all the links are going to be in here unless you want to
Okay.
log in online. So all your account management resources are right here.
Okay.
And for visual folks, you want to read step by step how to do everything on the portal. Here's your 40-page report to understand how to purchase and how to do every little widget.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You
Mm-hmm.
got it. I know
Cool.
some folks like video, some folks like
Mm-hmm.
other things. And then last one, I just made some folders. So
No
let's
need.
debrief guides.
Okay.
So here's all the debrief guides. So you got your disc awareness, disc support, and here's some supporting materials for each of these.
Mm-hmm.
Training materials. So I put some extra games in here. So one-on-one partner activities. Here's some additional worksheets and activities you have to kind of get things together as well. So
Mm-hmm. Okay.
those are available at the end. I'll send a follow-up email to everybody here shortly. And thanks again, Ivy. Thanks
No,
again.
thank you. This was awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good
All right.
one. I
Okay.
looks like your son's about done as well.
He's about done. Yep.
Oh, perfect.
It worked
Great
out great.
timing. We're doing what we're supposed to do. You have a good one, Ivy.
Okay,
I'll
you
follow up
too.
with the email in the next 24 hours, and we rocking and rolling for the next session as
From
well.
there. Yes. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All
Talk to you
right. Bye.
soon. Bye.